The Leaning Tower of Pisa 2000 to 5100, an evolution that no one expected. At first, you see her as she always was, slightly tilted, stubborn, made of white stone, standing in the Tuscan sun as if the earth itself had decided to defy gravity. But then the imagination dramatically speeds up time, as if someone is pressing rewind on a 1,000-year timeline. Days shrink into seconds, centuries fly by like flashes, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa confidently enters the future, which even the most daring science fiction writers could hardly imagine. This is how the stone silent history dies, and a new era is born, in which architecture ceases to be just a monument. It becomes an organism, a system, an interface of civilization. And the Leaning Tower of Pisa, once insured against falling by dozens of restoration projects, is becoming a symbol of the fact that time does not destroy significant things, it changes them, expands, rewrites. This is her way. The Leaning Tower of Pisa in 2000 is an era of careful balance. Two generations of engineers, dozens of scientific groups, and a lot of work to stabilize the slope by the end of the 20th century had done their job. By 2000, the tower had become safely tilted. It was held by a complex system of underground supports, steel cables, and controlled excavation. Tourists came here to take pictures of the supportive pose, but behind this playful frame were hidden hundreds of sensors that record the slightest movements of the marble. The Leaning Tower of Pisa in 2000 is a monument that was at the same time a living organism that required constant observation. She lived in an unsettling harmony. Every day could be a turning point, but every day nevertheless confirmed that she had resisted. The year 2100 is the first steps towards technology integration. By the year 2100, the world had become much more aware of the preservation of cultural heritage. Artificial intelligence began to play a key role in monitoring architectural monuments, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa became one of the earliest sites where this approach was fully applied. A special neural network analyzed humidity, pressure, soil fluctuations, the condition of marble blocks, and predicted the effects of climate change. The surface of the tower was not changed, but its inner life was completely rewritten. Now it was transparent, predictable, controlled at the level of molecular structures. It was the first moment when people realized that the tower would be able to live not for centuries, not for millennia, but for as long as we decide ourselves. The year 2300 is climate challenges and shape adaptation. In the XCI century, the climate of Europe became much more dynamic. Strong winds, unpredictable downpours, and periods of extreme heat threatened not only Pisa, but also the very idea of preserving stone monuments in their original form. To protect the tower, a flexible translucent dome was temporarily erected around it, a climate membrane capable of changing density and reflectivity. This building, an ancient marble cylinder under a shining shell, transformed Miracle Square into a post-classic scene where antiquity and futurism combined without conflict. Many believed that this would distort the historical value of the object, but the result turned out to be the opposite. The tower became the first monument officially adapted to the new climatic epochs, while retaining its original image. The year 2600 is the expansion of the cultural code. By the 20th century, the Leaning Tower of Pisa had ceased to be just a tourist attraction. It has become the interface of Italian cultural memory. Using holographic layers and multisensory systems, a historical field was created around the tower. The visitor could observe how it looked in the 1300s, how it was reinforced in the 1990s, how it was saved in the 2100s. The tower became a giant living museum that combined a tangible object and digital layers of time. It was no longer just a tilted bell tower. Now it was a portal to a story that did not tell, but showed. The year 3000 is the era of self, renewing architecture. The materials of the future, bioceramics, self, regenerating stone. Hybrid marble structures made it possible to strengthen the tower on a fundamentally new level. Now its blocks could repair themselves, reacting to micro cracks and structural changes. The tower slope was preserved as a cultural symbol, but now it was completely manageable. Even if the ground beneath it started to sag again, the tower would compensate for it itself. It was the moment when humanity learned to really save forever. The year 3500 is architecture as an organism. In the middle of the fourth millennium, architecture became bioengineered. The Leaning Tower of Pisa received an internal circulation system, channels through which microelements move to restore the structure, living biomaterials that ensure stability, and nanofibers that respond to tilt changes in real time. It has become not just a monument, but a living teleological organism, creating the feeling that it is watching billions of people passing around for thousands of years. The year 4000 is the era of floating structures. By the year 4000, humanity had mastered anti-gravity technologies and local gravitational distribution fields. The Leaning Tower of Pisa briefly became the object of an experimental project. Engineers created a gravitational plastron under it, which did not lift it into the air, but neutralized the weight in certain areas. This made it possible to completely stabilize its slope without any contact with the soil. Now the tower literally hung in